Good evening. This is Rahul Reddy. Reddy Neumann PC does bring every week immigration updates, and today we have updates with regards to the immigration USCIS shut off and a lot of other things. Just to give an overview of what you should do when the whole things are down. Along with me is my business partner Emily Neumann. Emily.
Thanks for joining us today. Yeah, we want to give you the latest updates. We get a lot of questions every week through our daily conference call and our consultations of situations individuals are having. So we want to go through some of the top questions that we get in order to guide you.
So Emily, what do we have? The government, USCIS, seems to not act anything on the applications that we filed. Though I have seen some approvals today for the premium processings that were I thought that maybe they'll delay the premium processing, but the ones which are all in the pipeline, they approved it. Do you think so? The immigration is going to act upon the application, slow or pause on the applications at this time?
I think that with those that are already filed, I would say if they were already filed in premium processing, the majority of them should be completed in premium processing. That's been our experience through several rounds of these premium processing suspensions, is that when they already have some in the pipeline, they do get the majority of them completed in premium, but they do leave the door open to say, if we can't get it done in the 15-day time frame, we will issue a refund and convert it automatically to regular processing. So there's a small percentage that would likely happen to, but just based on past experience, it should not be the majority of them. As far as we can tell, they're still accepting all applications, still processing them under regular processing as of now. I would expect processing times will increase.
Will increase a lot more. Emily, for example, a lot of people are asking this question. They have some of their H1Bs denied right now, and they want to leave out of the country. They can't leave out of the country because, well, all the flights are canceled and they cannot swim from New York to Bombay. What do?
Yeah, so if you're in that situation where your I-94 has already expired and you're facing a denial, we would generally recommend filing a change of status to B2 visitor visa. This is a late filing because as soon as your application is denied, if your I-94 is already expired, you're immediately out of status and you do begin accruing unlawful presence. So the purpose of this application, it doesn't really toll unlawful presence, so you still have to keep track of the 180-day period from the time the denial occurs if you don't have an answer on that B2 application. But you're filing what's called a nunc-pro-tunc request. So it's a late filed change of status application where you're basically explaining that due to the extraordinary circumstances, I was unable to file this timely. Therefore, I'm filing it late. Please forgive the delay in filing. I'm continuing to be a non-immigrant. I have not violated my status in any other way. And the hope is at the end of all of that, you would get an approval to allow you to stay for.
Well, Emily, I don't want to get out of my home. I don't want to go to the post office. I don't want to file anything. How can I file this application right now?
Yeah, the one good thing is we do have online filing for the I-539 application, which is what you would use to file for the change of status to B2. So that's the one thing that you can actually do on USCIS.gov.
And this question also comes to a lot of B2 visiting visa people whose status is expiring and they cannot leave the country. We strongly recommend that you file their extension immediately. Don't wait, because I know the government is shut off. The flights are all shut off in India until April 17th. So if the visa status is expiring from now onwards all the way to April anytime, I would file the application. You can't file more than 45 days before, but if it's within the 45 days limit, just file an application. And you don't have to get a receipt notice in your hand. If you get an online status that your money has been accepted, they are fine here to stay in this country. Under this, normally we don't recommend B2 extension, but this is not normal, guys. I mean, I'm a very older guy, but I'm telling you this, I have never experienced this in my life. I've been practicing immigration law for 25 plus years, but this is an extraordinary circumstances. I want you to file, go online. If the B2 is expiring, file the extension online. You get the online receipt notice, you're good. And please don't forget to pay the fingerprint fees also. Even though they have done the biometrics in India, they still need to pay the biometric fees again. Emily, there are situations right now where the premium processing is suspended. What do they do? I mean, there are some applications where the extensions are pending and it's been almost 240 days. What can they do?
Right. So if you have filed an extension of stay for your H1 status, for example, as long as it's filed timely, meaning before your I-94 expires and it's not a frivolous application, you can continue to remain legally in the United States and work based on that pending extension for up to 240 days beyond your I-94 expiration. This is only for extensions with the same employer. Transfers, it's a different rule. So in that situation, hopefully we will have premium processing back so that you can upgrade before you hit day 240, or hopefully you'll get an approval before you hit 240 days. But if you don't, the 240-day rule is for the employment authorization. So you would not be authorized to work starting day 241. You would be authorized to remain in the country until you get that approval notice. But the employment authorization ends. So do everything you can to try to get that approval before day 240.
Emily, now the visa lottery system, they have done a very good thing to file it online, and everybody has filed online H1B lottery system. Would they give the results before April 1st? And everybody knows that they can file the application between April 1st and June 30th. So we're not in a hurry right now. We can't predict what's going to happen in June or May at this point of time. Please keep on updating on the immigration news. We will bring this one every week to you guys so that you can all be aware what's going on the immigration news. But Emily, is it expected that they are going to give the results before April 1st, given the circumstances right now?
As of right now, yes. All signs say yes, it's a go. We should get the lottery results on March 31st, since it is an electronic lottery. Hopefully they will still be able to come through with that process. Obviously, we can't predict for sure, but there's been no indication from USCIS that they plan on making any changes to the lottery process or the timing of when they're going to do all of this.
The furlough process, that means no work, no pay, and there are reduction in hours, pay cut for the non-immigrant visas. Now, under these extreme scenarios, do we have any exception in the law that allows the employers and employers to do this one?
Yeah, this is real difficult, but for non-immigrants, your terms and conditions of your employment are spelled out in the petition that was filed on your behalf, and changes cannot just be made. USCIS has not given any indication that they plan on relaxing the current regulations. Department of Labor is not relaxing any of the current regulations. So in order to make a material change to a non-immigrant's employment, an amended petition has to be filed before that change can happen. That means they cannot be placed on furlough, hours cannot be reduced, pay cannot be reduced. Those are all material changes and would require an amendment to USCIS before the change can occur.
So if somebody wants to cut the pay in half, can they file an amendment and cut the pay in half, Emily?
That's another issue is, particularly for H1Bs and E3 visa holders where you're subject to an LCA and a prevailing wage requirement, you can't just cut the wage in half because it would fall below the prevailing wage. You would have to potentially cut the position to a part-time position and have them work half the hours, and then the pay would be commensurate with that. But you can't just unilaterally change the pay.
Emily, if the non-immigrant visa people lose the job, I mean, there are a lot of advertisements coming up. The Texas Workforce Commission, all the state workforce commissions are encouraging people to apply for the unemployment benefits. Are they allowed to have an unemployment benefits?
Unfortunately, no. This is not an easy time for the legal immigrant population. Unemployment benefits require you to have an unrestricted ability to work. So for those that are on non-immigrant visas, you are tied to a specific employer. You can't just go out and get another job without something being filed. And that is what limits you from using the unemployment benefits.
Emily, a lot of the clients have received the census data for 2020, saying that are you in the United States, and a lot of there have the short form and long form. Do they need to fill it out? Is it like filling out means, is it like they're claiming they're a U.S. citizen?
So you do need to fill it out. It is not only for citizens. It's for every single person physically in the United States so that we can get an accurate count to determine where benefits are needed, voting issues, coming up with where federal aid should be given to based on population in a particular city or area. So even if you're not a citizen, you should still fill out the census.
You're under obligation. It's a requirement. It's a law that you're supposed to fill the census data. This has been reiterated many times. The Supreme Court has supported it. And no action has been taken on people who are filled out. Of course, if you're not a U.S. citizen, do not claim to be a U.S. citizen. This census data is supposed to be filled out even for those people who are undocumentedly in this country. Can this data be given to USCIS and they come and take you up? There is a restriction on that. This data cannot be given to the immigration. This data only goes to the Census Bureau, and it operates completely independently. And this data cannot be given, I think so, up to an 81-year period of time. There's a period of time, and that's very long. I know for sure it's more than 50 years. This data cannot be shared with anybody for the next 50 years. So please, you're under obligation to fill the census data. Emily, anything else before we go to questions?
I think we're good. We want to answer as many questions as possible today, so we'll get right to it.
Right, and we just want to tell you that we are here for the community outreach. So if any of you community organizations want us to speak from the Reddy Neumann PC, we're willing to spend voluntary time for you to educate. Of course, we only can speak on the non-immigrant and immigrant issues. We cannot speak on medical issues. Those are not our expertise. But we are willing to speak. If you have any community, like a cultural organization or anything, you can drop an email to me at info@rnlawgroup. We are willing to help you out and have separate conference calls for you guys, to address the specific needs of your groups, and we are willing to do that as a voluntary service. Don't hesitate to contact us. Question, what happens, driving license office is expiring soon, they are closed, can I renew it? Well, you answered the question. This came from YouTube, from Mittal. If they are closed, you cannot renew it, period. I mean, you have to wait for the things to open, and there's nothing anybody can do right now. There's an emergency declared most of the country, so you will have to wait.
Yeah, I think some of the states, I believe Texas included, gave an automatic extension of driver's license.
Does it include for the non-immigrant visa people?
That's a good question.
We will try to answer that later on, but it's automatically extended if you have the visa authorization. That's our statement right now, but we may back it up next week. Please come and follow up on that.
Yeah, and that's state by state, so you'd need to check with your state driver's license office to see if they've issued any guidance on that.
One question comes from Ankit from YouTube is the U.S. Embassy open where we can go for the visa? Ankit, there are very less number of U.S. consulates that are open for visas right now. They're open for emergency purposes, but not for normal processes. And in those also, Ankit, they are not, and most of the consulates don't allow third country nationals to come in. In some consulates in Mexico, U.S. consulates in Mexico and U.S. consulates in Canada, they do allow the third country nationals. Most other consulates, they don't even allow the third country nationals to come in. Right now, it's all, it's sheltered in place right now. So just wait. I mean, don't hurry up. Wait for the situation. Keep the updates. Come back to our Facebook and YouTube Live. We'll keep on updating when the things open up.
Janae from YouTube wants to know if we got any updates on lottery results from the H1B registration. So no, we aren't expecting to get the results until March 31st. That's the last day USCIS said they would announce them, but I can tell you I logged in today and no updates have been made. So I would not anticipate getting any updates until March 31st.
Raman Rao from Facebook has this question, Emily, but I may not know the answer for it. He says he filled out the H1B electronic filing for a lot of applicants, and then he started deleting the applications after the March 20th. Can they do that?
I don't believe so.
So, Mr. Raman Rao, we don't know whether you deleted it after March 20th or before March 20th. So please explain to us if it's after March 20th or before March 20th.
Praveen from YouTube wants to know if a credit score makes an impact on getting the green card. So beginning on February 24th of this year, the answer is yes. You're required, at the time of filing your 485, you're required to submit the new 944 form. And on that form, you're required to specify what your current credit score is and submit your credit report. So, of course, this is only at the time of filing the 485. So if you have an issue with your credit score right now but are looking to file the 485 in a few years, you'll need to work on improving that score. It's just one factor of the whole overall consideration on that public charge rule, but it is an easy number for an officer to look at to make a determination. And we've not seen any guidance or information about how the government will use the information submitted in the 944 to actually make decisions. So definitely work on improving that if you are looking to file the 485.
Emily, I may need your opinion on this one. First question is that, have any of the H1Bs that we filed in the lottery has been selected? No, none of them have been selected in the lottery at this point of time. We are expecting everything to come out on the same day. As of now, none has been come. Expected everything. Another question is, do you know, Emily, how many registrations have been registered for the H1B in the lottery this year?
No, I was hoping we would get some kind of announcement from USCIS, but they've not made one yet.
Vibo from Facebook has this question: how many is the premium processing stopped currently? The answer is yes, Vibo. It's currently stopped for every premium processing that's available. Now, initially, they said only for the lottery cases. However, because of the coronavirus, they now said all premium processing has been suspended. We thought that the existing pipeline cases will still be adjudicated in the normal timing. As of now, they're getting adjudicated, but we don't know if they would do it. Maybe they'll change it. If they change the pipeline, the cases that are in the pipeline, they will refund the money.
Srikanth from YouTube wants to know, since the premium is canceled for H1 transfers, is it good to join the company based on the receipt number? So it is legally allowed for you to start working for the new employer as soon as the H1B transfer is filed. When premium was available, we certainly recommended waiting for the approval if you could, but now we don't have that opportunity. So if the company is not willing to wait the 4, 6, or 8 months for your transfer to be approved, you may not have a choice other than to forego that job opportunity or join based on the receipt notice. So definitely take into consideration the strength of the company and the petition for the transfer being filed. You can look up the company's track record on their H1Bs on the H1B Employer Data Hub. Look up the company. You can see exactly how many petitions they've filed each year and how many have been approved and how many have been denied. If they don't have a good track record, you may not want to join based on the receipt.
A lot of questions are coming on whether EB2, EB1, EB3 are going to be advanced because of this lockdown and travel ban. Will the India get benefit? We are not expecting that any miracle to happen in the EB1, EB2, and EB3 just because of lockdown. Gentleman from YouTube, Mr. Iyer, has this question: if it continues for the next 3 years, will the priority date move because the Chinese nationals will be barred over? I'm not a medical professional, Mr. Iyer, but I can tell you one thing: the number of new COVID cases that are coming from China is less than that what is coming from India at this point of time. So that's number one indication. The second thing is that if the things are going to be banned for the next 3 years, it could be the entire world. It doesn't look like only China is the culprit. It looks like it's now everybody's. If there is a 3-year bar on travel, I think so we're going to go into Stone Age. That's my projection. That means that we don't need immigration lawyers, we don't need doctors, we don't need governments if the things continue for 3 years. That's my guess. I'm not a proper expert on that, but I'm just telling you that. At this point of time, please keep on watching on every week. We'll try to present as best as possible. Right now, we're expecting this COVID and virus to kind of get down a little bit, where the government is going to probably start adjudicating the applications. Things may not become normal, but it will not be a complete shutdown like what it is right now.
Ganesh from YouTube wants to know if there's any update from the CST system or ICE for students attending online classes. Is it legal for F1 students to attend classes online? So yes, the CST records, or the CST has come out and said that if schools are needing to take appropriate action due to the coronavirus to move classes online, that should not negatively impact F1 students. Now, this does not mean you can go to one of these day one CPT schools and take all the online classes that you want. We're talking legitimate schools that normally have physical daily classes that you go to that are moving those classes online because of the virus situation. Only those are acceptable.
I get to hear this one very often, that government is giving $1,000 to everybody. Have you heard anything about it?
I thought the U.S. government was supposed to do that.
No, we have no information that the government is going to give a $1,000. The only time I recall getting the $1,000 was in 2009 or 2010. I recall, I think so. The government gave back the extra taxes that we paid. I believe it was for the 2009 tax return. They said, well, we reduced your taxes, and then they gave the money because we overpaid the money. If that happens, there is nothing wrong in you guys taking, because it's the tax that you paid that they are returning. If that happens, you're fine. But if the just government is giving $1,000, first we need to know why they are giving. Because if they are, right now, we don't have any information why the government is giving. When we do have the information, we will update you. Please keep checking with us in the next week in the Facebook and YouTube.
Pradeep from Facebook wants to know if an L1 employee can stay in the U.S. beyond the 2 months of the grace period, where the I-94 is valid until August. So the grace period is only 60 days in the event of a job loss, and that's assuming that the I-94 does not expire within those 60 days. There's nothing authorizing you to stay beyond that 60-day grace period. You are out of status. So the better idea, if you cannot travel because of the virus situation, would be to file a change of status to B2, as we mentioned at the beginning, before your 60-day grace period ends. That will be considered timely rather than just staying. Now is not the time to just stay and blame it on the virus or blame it on whatever situations are going on. You need to make sure that your immigration status is taken care of. As I said earlier, the government has not relaxed any immigration requirements. They've not extended statuses, they've not extended EADs, they have not extended I-94s, nothing. They've not done anything for the benefit of the legal immigrant population. So you have to make sure you are properly maintaining status and filing these things on time, even if it's difficult. You've got to get it done.
Sai from YouTube has this question. He has a master's degree from a recognized accredited university, nonprofit school and accredited school. Does he need to be filing the H1B lottery within a certain period for the master's quota, or can he come back after 20 years and file the H1B master quota? I added that one, Sai, the 20 years thing. Yes, you can get into master's quota at any point of time. There is no requirement it should be immediately. There is no requirement you should be an F1 visa. You can apply in the master's quota at any point of time. Mehul asked this question from Facebook. His census letter got lost. Can he request a new letter? Yes, Mehul. You are under obligation to respond to that. You just call that office. They are very helpful. You can go online. I have spoken with them so many times. They have good, nice volunteers. They'll help you out, and they will give you a new letter. Please call them up.
Sneha from YouTube wants to know what would be the case if an employer revokes the H1B without informing the employee. What can be done at this point? So obviously, if you're not informed, there's not anything you can do until you find out, but know that that is considered a violation. The only way an employer can properly terminate an H1B employee's employment is, number one, informing the employee that their employment has been terminated, then informing USCIS, and then offering to pay your return transportation home. In this case, the employer has only done one of those 3 steps by informing USCIS, and you can file a complaint on the W-4 form to the Department of Labor to get back wages paid for the period where the employer may not have been paying you during that time. And then you should definitely discuss with a qualified immigration attorney to understand how you can file a transfer in that situation to ensure that your status is not in jeopardy.
Abhishek Kumar has this question from Facebook. The I-140 has been withdrawn after 180 days. Is it the calendar days or is it the working days? Abhishek, it is the calendar days, 180 days, not the working days. Praveen from YouTube has this question. He is on EAD AP on the AOS application, which is 485 application. If he loses a job, what happens? Can he stay in the country? I would recommend, Praveen, that you need to contact a lawyer immediately. There are some ways around it, but I want you to contact your lawyer immediately. Contact a lawyer immediately because this is a very sensitive situation. I may not want to answer your question on this YouTube.
UK from YouTube says his I-94 has expired and he had an H1B denial last month, and then it was refiled and received an approval, an I-797B approval. His employer has done E-Verify and received an authorized to work status. So the E-Verify is not what determines whether you're authorized to work or not. If there's no I-94 on that I-797 that you received in March, then you're not authorized to work. They likely approved that for consular processing, and the only way to activate it is to exit, get the visa stamp, and then return to regain your H1 status. So that would be very odd for E-Verify to work in that situation.
Rohit from YouTube has this question. I'm an international student. Do I need to fill the Census 2020? Yes. You need to fill the Census 2020. Everybody needs to fill the Census 2020. You are legal, you fill it out. You are illegal, you're undocumented, you still need to fill it out.
Vinod from Facebook wants to know, what if the I-94 has expired and the 240 days is over? What do you do in that situation? So first, I want to remind everyone that the 240-day rule only applies to extensions with the same employer. So if a transfer has filed, this rule does not apply. That means when you've got a transfer pending, you can keep working for the new employer as long as the transfer is pending, even beyond 240 days. But if you're talking about an extension filed with the same employer, when you hit the 240 days, you have to stop working. So your only choice at that point is to stay and not work, or go outside the U.S. and wait for the approval to come through.
Question is coming very many times. Some people are telling that $600, $1,200, $1,000 is coming. We need to look into the law when the things have been passed. At this point of time, they're still debating about it. They have a lot of different proposals. Once the law comes into, we want to dig into details. Please tag in. We are there every week. We will be there on next Tuesday. We'll present and we will give you the guidance on whether or not you can accept that money. Priya Verma has the question of the day. If I get affected by coronavirus, will I be treated the same as US citizen? Priya, yes. This is a country that does not discriminate. I have had so many people who have been affected. They were sick, but they never asked the legal status when it was an emergency. They never asked. That is a real thing I appreciate about this country. They don't even ask. When you're in emergency, they treat you first. And they don't ask your legal status. That's the good thing about this country.
Suyash from YouTube wants to know, which option is better if your I-94 is expiring soon, a business visa or a visitor visa? So it all depends on what you intend to do. What is the proposed purpose of applying for this change of status? So a B1 visa is only for permissible business activities. So if you are converting as a way to remain in the U.S., that generally is not conducting business activities. You're a visitor and should be a B2 visa application.
Do I lose health insurance after the 240-day passes and I'm still in the country? Well, it depends on your company's insurance policy. You definitely have a COBRA. If the company has a COBRA policy, that means that even if you're not working, you can extend it at a certain, you can subscribe to that COBRA to extend your health insurance if the company doesn't allow you to continue on the insurance.
Parvati on Facebook wants to know, I got an I-94 with my petition that was valid until December of 2019, but then I traveled in July and got an I-94 till 2021. Which one is valid? So it's unclear from your facts. Generally, the most recently issued I-94 is the one that controls, but if that I-94 was issued for a longer period in error, you cannot rely on it. So it's unclear how exactly you were eligible for an I-94 till 2021 if your most recent petition was expiring in 2019.
Questions from Srinivas Madigunta from YouTube says that his daughter has applied from H4 to F1 and she's aging out in November 2020. What's going to happen? What I would recommend is that before she ages out, somewhere in September or October, I would recommend to call a transition B2 application that you need to file. Otherwise, she will be going, her F1 will be rejected because she needs to maintain the status until the F1 is approved. And when you are coming near the 21 years, I want you to apply B2, interim B2 application. Otherwise, she will go out of status.
Srinivas from YouTube wants to know what happens to my H1B status if my company goes bankrupt during the pandemic and is unable to pay salaries. So hopefully no one has to face this issue, but it is a real concern. If the company is no longer operating, you would be considered as if your employment has terminated. And that puts you out of status. If your I-94 is still valid, you have the 60-day grace period. You can use that time to look for another job and file an H1B transfer. Or if you're not able to find another job, you can file a change of status to B2 online, as we've talked about before. That has to be done before the end of the 60-day grace period, and that will allow you to stay for up to 6 months.
Sharad Mishra has this question. His wife is an H4. She got selected to the medical residency. Do you think so you can get a H1B before July 1st as the premium processing is not there? Obviously, your wife is exempt from the H1B number. Sharad, you and I know that. But the premium processing is a big guess whether they're going to open it up immediately or not. I would suggest that you may want to consider joining the litigation, or you may want to consider filing a court litigation, because otherwise she's going to miss the residency. But the problem is it's the medical institution that should be supporting the H1B delay litigation. Mm-hmm. It cannot be unilaterally done by your wife. It has to be done by them. The other option might be you may want to consider to see if she is eligible for EAD based on your I-140. You may want to join the litigation that we do. For that, you don't need to go through the organization. The alternative thing you may want to consider under these extreme circumstances, but this is a caution. I mean, is the J1 visa application. If they're offering for H1 and J1, would you go to an extreme extent of going to J1? You already know that J1 has a lot of restrictions. It's easier to get it, but it's very hard to get rid of a J1 visa. If you were to consult our office, don't consult us on the J1 waiver things, but because we don't do J1 waivers, but if you are considering maybe litigation, going to the court to expedite the process, if the premium processing is not going to be there, we may be the proper persons for you to contact, but we may not be the proper persons. If you want to evaluate, is H1B better, J1B better, what are the negative consequences for the J1 visa if your institute is willing to offer?
Arun from Facebook filed an H1B extension on February 10th in premium processing and received an RFE. The RFE has not been responded yet, and now premium processing has been suspended. How will this impact the RFE response? So USCIS plans to continue premium processing for those that are already in the pipeline. So generally, once you file the RFE response, you should expect to see an update within 15 days under premium processing. That being said, USCIS did leave the door open for them to have the possibility of converting the case to regular processing and issuing a refund of that check. We did see that happen in a small number of cases during previous suspensions, but the majority of them were still adjudicated within the 15-day time frame.
They had to give the money back to you guys, which is a good thing. Hopefully so that they will adjudicate the application within a short period of time. Shanti from YouTube has this question. Does a 3-week shutdown affect the H1B adjudications? Well, we don't know about the 3-week shutdown at this point of time. That is not what we got the confirmation from. But if generally right now, all adjudications will be delayed. That is expected from the USCIS. Please expect them to delay everything where the processing time they put it is going to go up by a month or 2 at the least is what is expected from it. This question comes very frequently, what Piyush is asking on the YouTube. Is there a chance that the what do we think that the USCIS is going to extend the 60-day grace period that's available for the unemployment to change from company A to company B under these extreme circumstances? We do not anticipate the USCIS to relax on the 60-day rule. Normally, when things went bad, I mean, I've been an immigration lawyer from 1995 onwards, and I've been in field for before that. Is that whenever there is an economical downturn that comes into United States, the blame goes on to the immigrants, and that's been there historically. So when the things turn down, there'll be more restrictions coming on the immigration. It's not going to be more a loosening of the effect. There are some situations where things go bad in the home country of yours and things are very good in this country, then they will give some work permits, especially the previous administration, the Clinton administration, the Bush administration and the Obama administration. For example, when the Nepal got hit with the earthquakes, they did give them employment authorization. But right now, everybody is shuttered. So do not expect that US government is going to give any free giveaways to the non-immigrant visa people. Do not expect that.
Amit from YouTube, he's on H1, his wife's on H4 EAD, and he wants to know, in the worst case scenario, if he loses his H1B job and he doesn't get another job within the 60-day grace period, can both husband and wife file for the visitor visa? Yes, that would be the right choice that you would need to take at the end of the 60-day grace period, is for both of you to apply for that.
Yeah, and then do expect that these B2 adjudications, which are taking anywhere between 6 months to about 18 months, sometimes not 18 months, 6 months to about 12 months. So this B2s for the people who fell out of status, for the B2 extensions for the people who are identified as expired to be expired, B2 for the people who Emily just said about the 60-day expiration. Don't expect them to adjudicate and then you're going to move on to a different visa status. It's going to take a long time. This is just a transitory thing until you exit this country. Because if you lose a job, you apply for a B2, you can't move back to the H1B, because when you file a H1B, the USCIS officer will ask, what was your legal status in between since you crossed the 60 days? Then you say B2, well, that B2 is not approved, so I'm not going to approve the H1B. So eventually, you have to plan, if you apply to this B2 after the 60 days, or the other 2 reasons why I have given, you need to plan to exit the country. Obviously, when the medical things and the travel restrictions are taken off, and then plan to have an alternative things to come back after you exit the country.
This is an interesting question from Mak Sayed on Facebook. It's trending that F1 students who are affected by coronavirus are eligible for a special situation where they can get a 1-year work permit. Have you heard of that?
I have been asked this question many times, that the student visa people, B2 visa people are being allowed to get the work permit. There are some people who are petitioning the White House, they're advertising and all those things. we never see, I mean, it doesn't, one, there is no truth in that at all, that the work permit does not exist. If there is anything, we will update you, but to expect that under this administration, because I was telling that the previous 3 administrations have given some leeways work permit for the other country people, but this administration has taken the work permits off. And at this point of time, USA's unemployment rate is expected to grow up. It was less than 4%. In 2009, it was 9.5. It is expected to grow up higher. And when the unemployment rate is high, they are not expected to give a free work permits to anybody. So don't believe in these rumors that you're getting in. That is not true.
Shekhar from YouTube wants to know if the coronavirus will affect perm processing times. I would expect it to slow down processing times a little bit. They already have been slowing down over the recent few weeks. The Department of Labor has been a little bit more forthcoming in giving us updates and information about processing during the current situation. They came out today and said that when perm approvals are issued, they will now send them by email, so we don't have to wait for the mail to come in, especially when law firms are closed during shelter-in-place situations. So that has been a good thing. The system, the DOL, the perm process is already all electronically done. So it doesn't really rely on the mail. So hopefully we won't see too much of a slowdown, but at the same time, there's no filing fee for the perm process. So if they have a short staff because people are being impacted, maybe they've got, childcare issues, need to stay home, or whatever the case may be, if they're short-staffed, I think certainly longer processing times are possible.
Question that comes out for the EAD applications that were only for the adjustment of status applications, where when the EAD is been expiring, if they file an extension, they can work up to 180 days. The question came from YouTube is that, what if it's more than 180 days the EAD is expired? Can they continue working under the current circumstances? The answer is no. You can stay in the country, but you cannot work. Now, this 180-day rule after the expiration is only for the adjustment of status or 485 EAD guys. For the H4 EADs, you cannot even work once it expires. But to answer this question for Mittal from YouTube is that once the 180 days crosses, no, you cannot work. There is no exception given at this point of time.
Let's see here.
Question that came from Prasad. He's a green card holder. If they lose the job, can they apply for an unemployment benefit? Yeah, I don't see anything wrong in it. If you're a green card holder, you can apply for unemployment benefits. Nothing wrong with it.
Abhishek from YouTube, spouse is on L2 EAD and her hours were just reduced. Can she claim unemployment for the reduced hours? Generally, no, non-immigrants are not eligible for unemployment, and generally unemployment is when a job has terminated, not for a reduction in hours or pay.
Are we expecting longer processing time for LCA? Yes, we are expecting longer processing time for LCA. At this point of time, we haven't noticed it yet, but we're expecting. I mean, when things like this happen, guys, I mean, everybody is expected to, government in particularly, they delay a lot. They have all excuses to delay. It is normal that they do.
Savvy from YouTube wants to know when to apply for an EAD and AP renewal that's expiring in November, considering that we might even see further delays. So the general rule is you can only apply 120 days in advance.
No, 180
days.
80 days.
Yes,
Yeah.
so you're looking at May would be the earliest you can file. Do you think that you could file earlier than that and have any issues?
At this point of time, they're taking about 9 months to extend it. So I'm not going to, if you don't want to take any chance, I would say that if you apply right now, go and apply right now, but apply one within the 180 days one more time. If this gets rejected, you can always get the other one approved.
Yeah, especially since there's no filing fee for it.
Yeah,
right now.
there's no filing fees for you. Apply right now, apply one more time. Now, Is that anything illegal because you're doing 2 applications? No, there's nothing illegal in that. That may be a good way for everybody to file, Emily, to file.
Prashant from Facebook, can an H4 EADs working as a teacher get benefits from her school government because their school is telling them you can apply for these benefits through the government website? I would definitely look into that further before you make any application. It really depends on what type of benefits these are, where they're coming from. If it's something that's meant to maintain your income because of the current situation, that could be problematic when it's time to file your I-539 extension. They do ask about public benefits in the I-539 form, and it's also an issue that could come up during the 485 processing. So need more information on that. Definitely get the right advice on that before you apply for it.
How do you handle if you have 2 H1B applications that were picked in the lottery? Questions from Krishna from YouTube. Well, we have advocated probably 100 times in our articles, YouTube, Facebook, and everything that filing 2 applications is a crime. I don't know how to say that. I would recommend that you contact a lawyer if you have even filed for 2 applications at the same time.
Suresh from YouTube is planning to file an H1B transfer and wants to know what is the expected approval time considering potential delays in I-129 processing. Well, we can't really predict the future, but generally in regular processing it can go anywhere from 4, 6, 8, 10 months. And of course, if there's an RFE, it could be longer than that. There's no set required time for them to process them. So if they get overloaded, they can certainly take longer than 6 to 8 months.
Karthik has the census. He got the census this time, but he got it last year. He filled it out and he got it again. I would recommend to call up the number and ask that question though. But if you have received it, you should fill it. And if you have a doubt, put a note in there, put an extra sheet in there. Look, I filled in 2000, I filled in before, I got this again, I'm filling it again, and let them decide what they want to.
Girish from Facebook wants to know if someone can work as a freelancer when on an H1B. Unfortunately, no. The H1B only authorizes you to work for the company that sponsored you. If you're doing any side work, freelance, side hustle, that's not authorized and it could be putting you out of status.
When do you expect premium processing to be back, Emily?
That's anybody's guess.
Question from Kiran from YouTube.
There's no indication from USCIS. They don't generally share that information early. Sometimes we find out the Friday before that they're going to allow it starting on the Monday. We just don't know. And without knowing how long this whole pandemic issue is going to last, there's just no way of accurately answering that.
And Naveen has this question, and I have another follow-up question on this, Emily, that I need your attention is, you told that, your guess last time, not you told, was about, you're telling that it's going to be between you and me, between 320,000 and 350,000. Are we sticking with the same number that have been filed?
I think so, because the window closed before
everything hit out.
Everything really got bad.
So now the question comes is that if they selected in the lottery and people don't file the number of applications, what are they going to do?
Well, the regulation does say that those that are still in the pipeline that weren't selected, they could go back and do a second lottery to select more, and then more people can file. Do you expect that to actually happen? I don't know.
It may, because of if the downturn of the economic circumstances that happened into this seems to, if it goes very beyond, what if the unemployment rate goes to 25%, then it may actually. Okay, let's take this question.
Aditya is on H1B right now and his PERM has been filed. He wants to know if he can travel while the PERM is in process. So for an H1B, there is dual intent is allowed, which means a pending PERM has no impact on your ability to travel on an H1B, and travel has no impact on the PERM. Of course, travel right now is probably not an option for most people. But yes, you can travel while the perm is pending.
Questions from the perm processing. Is the DOL processing the perm applications? We were not being reported that they stopped processing the perm applications. We definitely know that they are short-staffed right now everywhere where it's not an essential field is short-staffed in the entire United States. Another thing is the prevailing wage determination timeline for the perm. It was 4.5 months, but as we said before, please expect all timelines with the government to go up more higher. That is expected right now.
Chaitanya from Facebook wants to know, are benefits being added to the Senate stimulus bill to automatically extend expiring H1s and EADs for a year? No way. Don't even think that's going to happen. This is not a time where America tends to be friendly to immigrants. When the economy goes down and unemployment goes up, immigration is not something that's favored. You're not going to see any additional benefits compared to what you get right now. So I would not expect any extensions to be offered.
We want to give you the realistic expectations, guys. We don't want to, this is not an entertainment where we're singing a songs to entertain you. So we have to give you what it is. I mean, you need to make a plans based on that. We are not entertainers. We are just trying to give you the information as it is so that you can plan your life. And as Emily has pointed out, do not expect anything good coming just because of this COVID crisis. Sonal from YouTube has this question. Since there is a travel ban, you cannot go to the particular countries. Can we still stay in the USA? Well, Sonal, here is the issue. Can you swim to Bombay from New York? I don't think so you can. So you don't have an option. You have to stay in this country. However, what we recommend is that to try to keep the paperwork in line. Right now, if you're going out of status, you have an online application called I-539 application. You can fill it and stay in United States for a certain period of time in legal status. Try to do that thing. If you're not allowed, you can't swim. I mean, that's ridiculous. So just file the 539 application that's online and stay in the country.
Senthil from Facebook has an H1B expiring in June, and with premium processing being canceled now, he wants to know if it's good to apply for the extension now or wait until June. Well, I don't see any reason to delay the filing of the extension. If you wait until June, you're going to be in the rush with everyone else who has been unable to file until then, and the processing times are only going to get longer at this point. So if you file now, when premium becomes available, you'll be in a much better position because all you have to do is upgrade to premium. You don't have to hurry up and try to prepare the extension at that point. So I see no reason to delay the filing.
Anuradha from Facebook has this interesting question. The biometrics notice, what's going on the biometrics on the H4? The biometrics that they've been issued before that were supposed to be scheduled, we've been notified by many clients they cancel the biometric note. They cancel those biometric things. So you have to wait. If they are open, you can do the biometrics, but if ever they are open, you're doing biometrics, they touch the hands of you. So make sure that you wash it, and you take all the things when you go to the biometrics. At this point of time, we are being reported that all biometric places are closed right now. They are not entertaining any biometrics. We keep tuned for the next week. We will update you if they're open. If they're open, what activity did. Once the biometrics are open, you will be able to go there. Even though you don't have an appointment, you can go there. Mostly they will entertain you and they will take your biometrics. But at this point of time, we have been reported by many that there are no biometrics taken at this point of time.
All right. Benet from Facebook wants to know what will happen to the H4 EAD with this pandemic. So the H4 EAD, everything's continuing as is. You can still apply for it. You can still renew it. There will be some delay if you're filing it with the H4 renewal because the biometrics are being delayed due to offices being closed on that front. But the only thing that's going to end the H4 EAD would be a new regulation, which we've been talking about for, 2 years now, and we still don't have a proposed regulation. And I'm pretty sure our government is too busy dealing with the pandemic to be focused on issuing a new regulation right now. Or if the court makes a decision that the H4 EAD was not valid rule in the first place, which, again, the court case has been going on since 2016. So I wouldn't expect an answer on that in the near future either. So continue H4 EAD as is.
Anything else, Emily?
I think that's about it for today. Thank you all for joining us. We'll do our best to keep everyone updated with all the latest news. So please come see us next Tuesday. If you have additional questions, you can join our conference call. That's every day. The schedule for that is at rnlawgroup.com. You can also sign up for our newsletter at rnlawgroup.com or at immigrationgirl.com. You can sign up for my blog.
Thank you guys for tuning in.